Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Weekly Win. My name's Tim. I'm here with my co host, Ken.
Hi, everyone. How are you doing today?
Today, we've got some really interesting topics. Ken, would you like to give us a quick rundown?
Sure thing. First, we have critical race theory being taught in classrooms. It's going to be the main headline of the day. Next, we're going to move into the economy. We're going to talk about gas prices, the jobs report, and so on. After that, we're going to talk about the American people's lack of faith in the institutions right now. Then we'll move on to the assassination of the Haitian president, as well as some chaos in Canada. And then, Tim, I think we both have pretty interesting side topics that we want to discuss this week.
I'd like to think they're interesting at least. All right.
Fantastic. Let's get right down to it. You want to start us off?
Of course. So an Illinois school district was teaching CRT, and they had some fun comparing whiteness to the devil. Ken, have you apologized for being white today?
No, I have not.
Good.
No, I have not.
Yeah, so Illinois, I mean, pretty much every teachers union at this point is pushing this, but Illinois has been pushing it. The largest teachers union in the country says it's going to be taught in all 50 states, and Pennsylvania had they had a CRT teacher go on news and say directly that CRT isn't being taught, but it should be, even though their designation was a CRT teacher. Thank you, CNN. Very helpful.
Thank you, CNN, say the mindless lemming.
All
So
right.
it's really funny, if I may cut you off here, I'm
Yep.
sorry.
Very good.
What's really funny is the nation's largest teachers union, as you mentioned, actually said that they were going to teach critical race theory in all 50 states. And this was, I have this pulled up, this was on July 5th. And wouldn't you know it, on July 6th, just the next day, they decided to scrub their website of that very same pledge.
Absolute cowards, if I do say so myself.
I would have a little bit more respect for them if they actually had it on their website and kept it up there for criticism, but of course not.
Nope, you can't stand by what you say anymore. Because, especially when what you say is unpopular with about 85% of Americans. Should I remember correctly?
I happen to believe it's about 80 or 85% of Americans don't want this. You guys
Yep.
can tell us in the comments, though. You could be a little bit of our poll if you'd like. Just tell us, do you think that critical race theory should be taught? Yes or no?
And if you
Tell
say
us why we're
yes,
wrong.
you better provide a very good reason. That way we can debate you properly. What
Gee,
what I would like to say is CNN, the most trusted name in news, as always. They're are arbiters of truth, if you will. They had a public school teacher from the Philadelphia school district whose title, according to CNN, like the written version of the video report, which they include, labeled her as a CRT teacher. Like that was her designation. Like you have a drama
oh
teacher
my
or you have
God.
a chorus teacher. Her title was CRT teacher.
Oh,
And then she went on to say directly to the camera, deadpan, quote, CRT is not being taught in schools. It is a theory. It is a lens by which to view history in the way that law and race kind of overlaps and connects in society. End quote.
oh,
And then
this
she
is crazy, man.
yeah, she goes on to talk about how it should be influencing how teachers teach and it should be taught, but it's not being taught yet. Don't you worry, even though that's her job. I'm kind of curious what she does do for a living if it's not being taught.
There is one thing I'd like to point out very briefly to our viewers before we continue here. Um, Education and indoctrination are really the same thing. It's just one side educates while the other indoctrinates, or so politics is in the modern day.
Well, I would say that all education is indoctrination. However, some is just more useful than the others. Like to teach someone about Christianity is to indoctrinate them by definition. Like indoctrination, like in the broadest definition of indoctrination. To teach someone Plato would indoctrinate people with the academies. Like indoctrination is a negative word to use. However, by definition, teaching is indoctrination.
Yes, that's all I wanted to point out for everybody at home. Tim, I'm glad you know the score as well.
Um, this one I really wanted to cover too, is that teachers union presidents claiming that anti-CRT activists are bullying teachers.
Oh my
Congratulations, we're now
gosh.
bullying teachers, and apparently it's trying to keep them from teaching students accurate history, which last I checked, this isn't. And several historians agreed in the 1619 project that it wasn't history. But what do we know?
If
Apparently,
if you could believe it, the president of this American Federation of Teachers, this is what you're talking about.
yeah.
I believe their name is Randy Weingarten. I think that's
So
how you pronounce that. Uh, she said that critical race theory is only used in law school and colleges, which is hilarious because I don't think that that's true at all, which is what I think you just said, and which is what I think a vast majority of Americans is saying.
it's funny. I grew up in public school and changed my life for the better in high school. And I've always felt that public school is important for a kid in terms of like interactions with people. Because, I mean, Ken, for instance, we met in high school.
We sure did.
And so I feel like there's an aspect of saying that public school has some value. But the more I hear these teachers, the more I go, there's no way I'm ever putting a kid in public school. I know some great teachers. I know a lot of people who are great teachers. Problem is, one or two great teachers doesn't make the system worth using, unfortunately.
I agree with you on that. I'm finding it very, very hard to want to bring kids into this world. It's not looking very good for them, if you ask me.
Well, hopefully by the time either of us get around to that, we can have a better world for them. Well,
Oh man.
let's move on to something more fun, shall we? Air quotes.
Ooh.
The economy.
Time to beat up on Biden.
Yeah, essentially.
So I actually have a very interesting article for you here.
All right, what do you
This
got?
is this is on how McDonald's is replacing human drive-through attendants with AI. Now, I remember vaguely in high school in our government class. I don't think you were a part of it because I was a year ahead, but I think we
Because
had to
someone wanted to
discuss.
graduate early, but we'll let that one go.
I think I think we had to discuss in one paper minimum wage and kind of like the effects of automation on
Yeah.
jobs and such. And I took the side, I think, early enough that that automation was going to come to replace like low skill jobs. Is I think that's what I'm looking for, right?
Yeah, that's accurate.
Not to say that anybody who works these jobs is low skilled, but merely that it requires a very low skill
Yeah.
threshold.
They are
I
doing
would
a
know
low
I
skilled
worked in
job.
fast food.
They are not low skilled people. They are doing a low skilled job.
Correct. So, anyway, that being said, my position was that like 8 years ago was that automation was going to come around within the next decade or two, and it was going to supplant possibly like the drive-through cashier. And it seems that McDonald's is kind of at the forefront of that. Their pilot project is reportedly in 10 stores and is 85% accurate.
Yeah, I was reading that too. It's 85% accurate with about one in every five orders needing to be double checked, like for corrections, which, let's be honest here, is still more accurate than most drive throughs currently with people.
Especially McDonald's drive-through and
Oh, Lord.
especially in Chicago.
Oh, Lord, yes. But what I find more interesting about this is that for somehow people find this is coming out of left field. Like, why is McDonald's replacing their people? It's like cause and effect is a thing. And apparently some people don't understand that.
Well, it's a great thing you mentioned cause and effect. I think the cause that you're pointing out here, or alluding to rather, is that corporations are taking on increased costs in the form of paying their employees. And I have another article to share with you, actually. This one was from March of this year, so a few months ago, excuse me. Three grocery stores in LA actually had to close due to the hazard pay mandates at the time. And I remember actually sharing this with some people, and I pointed this out then that, yeah, when the corporations have to take on extra costs, so do the consumers. It's funny you mentioned that.
Yeah. Well, on that topic, this is something that we've talked about a little bit. Not so much in person to person, but we texted about this a little bit. Is the idea of food deserts. And for our listeners who might not know what that is, a food desert is defined as an urban area that does not have direct access to fresh food in terms of like groceries, which in LA, which is where these stores were closed, something like 1 million people are considered living in food deserts, 45% of them being below the poverty level. So what this is doing is saying that people, especially poverty-stricken people, are no longer able to access fresh food, fresh groceries, which can be a problem for developmental health, for continued health, like just health in your life in general. As I'm pretty sure most people understand that a healthy diet is kind of important.
Yeah, I'm sure the vast majority of us understand that, but how many of us really practice it? Come
Right.
on, guys. I know we all have a burger with some bacon on it every now and then. It's all right. You're not gonna die.
Just
Just
because
lay off it
I'm
every once in a while.
just because I'm about to go make burgers doesn't mean anything.
Ah, ah.
But yeah, so this is already a issue, and now California with their anti-business nature, because the grocery market, as you may or may not know, is a highly competitive market with razor thin margins. When you think about the cost of groceries, it's really low compared to what they cost the grocery stores to get said food.
And
And
a lot of people discount the fact that the truck drivers require pay. It requires a lot of gas to transport goods to and from across the country. It costs money to import some of the stuff or just, buy the raw materials to produce the finished product outright. People
yeah,
discount a lot of this. They just see, yeah, I have 6 pack of chicken thighs at the store. Wow, it costs $6. That's a lot, or that's little, or whatever.
yeah. What I think, I I don't know how much about you, but I know that I'm in a rather unique spot to conversate about this, and I assume you will be too, just because we live in the same area. I know at least a lot of people on every side, like every part of the chain. I know a lot of people who run farms. I know people who do a lot of like the transporting for farms, and we have a local grocery chain that happens to be very good at like direct from farm and like bring the food directly from the farm into the grocery store, and they change farms depending on which location, and that gives you a really good idea of what the actual cost is. And
Sure does.
when you factor all this in, the grocery stores aren't making a whole lot per purchase, but they rely on the fact that a lot of people are going to go buy groceries. And when I go, it's the same way that Costco gets away with selling, I don't know, 300 packs of chewing gum in a box that you buy, that you're not going to touch for the next 5 years, right? They sell it so cheaply because a lot of people are going to come through and buy boxes of gum because they're going to be like, I want a piece of gum. Costco only sells a box of 500. Good luck. It's
Mm.
about how much they move. The same way Walmart makes money.
No, Walmart just makes money by re-importing cheap Chinese stuff.
Well, yes, and
Grocery stores
selling.
can't do that.
Well, yes, but they also sell it at the thinnest margin they can possibly create. It's really
Of
impressive when you
course.
think about it.
Well, how else are they going to make money? Are they going to jack the prices up just because they
True.
got a monopoly? Are you nuts?
So when you consider how much grocery stores need to take on, it's when you're doing things like raising how much they have to pay people, it causes a lot of problems for the economy. And now this is causing problems for poor people, essentially, if nothing else, and the residents of LA.
I have to say, Biden's policies on energy are definitely only hurting. Gas prices going to above $3 definitely hurts the poor people. Just in that gas is more expensive, and
Yeah,
then it hurts them in the grocery stores because gas gets more expensive for the grocery stores to import the groceries.
yeah. It went up like what, 40 points since Biden's
Yeah,
gotten in
like
or something.
40%, something like that.
Interesting. That's
40 freaking percent.
yeah,
From 225 to 313 today, it has been reported.
yeah.
This was yesterday, actually.
I'm so glad I saved 16 cents on my barbecue.
Oh, thanks, Joe. That didn't even cover 1/4 of what you just jacked up our dang gas prices to be.
It didn't cover much of anything realistically.
And would you
Yeah,
believe this guy actually has the gall to decide to want to end tax breaks for these fossil fuel companies already? Like this is ridiculous. Didn't it wasn't one of his chief things to uh campaign promises, excuse me. Wasn't one of his chief campaign promises to stifle fracking or something or another like that?
yep, he was very much anti-fracking, and then the media said no, he's not, and everyone went, hey, he is.
Yeah, and look at him now. He's giving more tax breaks to his buddies up at the very tippy top, while the rest of us here at the bottom have to suffer.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
yeah. Well, ain't no one really surprised by that, but someone voted for him. But
Nobody's really surprised by anything, it seems. Have you guys
true.
gone out and polled your neighborhoods? You know, I'm pretty sure at least a handful of people in every neighborhood now believe in aliens. I mean, my goodness.
That's true. That's definitely a topic for a different time. But
Tune in
speaking of
next
things,
week. It could be a short.
true. Speaking of things that nobody trusts anymore, let's talk about the NSA. Well, I guess that really implies that there was trust in the NSA to begin with, but so it turns out that I'll admit I was a little wrong on this one. It looks like evidence is coming out pretty well in favor of the NSA actually spying on Tucker Carlson. Who would have thought?
Yeah, it's pretty funny. The NSA, to their credit on this one, and this is just on a principle basis. All right, this isn't to actually give them credit, but it appeared as though Tucker wanted to set up some interviews with the Kremlin or something to that effect. And so the NSA obviously went to investigate that because they're going to go talk to a hostile diplomatic power to the US. So just on that, I have to give them a little bit of credit. But beyond that, this reeks. This is so corrupt.
Of course it's corrupt. It's always corrupt. Welcome to the system.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
Damn. Yes, it was. So,
So what's really funny. I'm sorry to cut you off again.
now you're good.
Is the NSA, you guys will remember they issued that denial. I don't have that off the top of my head, but I found it hilarious at the time because it didn't really deny anything. They just sort of said, "Yeah, we didn't do something. We definitely didn't do something."
Yeah.
And here we go. We figured out that that one something is definitely not spying. They were doing that, it seems.
The NSA doesn't exactly inspire confidence. Other groups that we don't have confidence in, big tech. I mean, of course, big tech, we love you. Please promote our content. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Please, big tech overlords, tell us what to think.
Praise the algorithm, right?
Praise the algorithm. Oh my goodness.
Well,
Yeah,
tr-
this was
I
also a big topic last week. Remember, Trump joined New Tech.
yeah, and now he's suing big tech.
He's a busy man.
Yeah. Apparently, he's arguing that they're no longer like private companies per se, but now public commodities and utilities, which I I think yes. However, I this is just such a hard topic to consider because on one hand, yes, they act as a public platform, but also they are still technically a private company, and under Section 230, which yes, you can argue does need to be refined a little bit more, they do have immunity. So unless Section 230 is changed, there's not really a whole lot for this argument, unfortunately.
I will say I think I agree with that uh, at a basic level as well. Big tech seems to be moving into dominating the public square,
Yeah.
so I definitely would agree with the idea that they're now public utilities. Uh, I do also think that we're going about it the wrong way. The current attempt at reforming 230. Uh, I'm pretty sure I sent you another link. Or maybe you sent it to me. I don't know. Well, some of us sent it to the other, and it outlined like five different bills that were going to try and take down big tech. And it's like you don't need five. You just need
One good
one
one.
that rewords it.
Well, yeah, but it's the government. They're never going to be efficient on it.
You know, they just won't solve the freaking problem.
Yes, it's government.
They need something to get elected for. Uh, what is it in 2022 already? Jeez, my
Yeah,
gosh.
believe it or not.
Trump's a, Trump's a busy dude though.
Yeah,
Really busy man.
he's been holding some not conferences. Political term for conferences. The gatherings.
Um,
Kind of give me the word.
gathering.
I'm totally blanking on the word, but yeah, rallies. He's been holding rallies. There we are.
Oh, rallies, huh?
Yeah, and they've
You
been
mean
drawing
like
quite the crowd.
January 6th?
Oh yeah, my favorite rally.
Oh man, I always knew it. You were a Russian agent. I knew it.
Sick of blit. Oh, okay. So speaking of no faith in something, this one I remember seeing this and I lost it laughing. I had to send it to you. But Biden giving us his word as a Biden about our brightest future as his polls sink like a rock.
Yeah, I vaguely remember telling people that Joe Biden's approval is nowhere near 60% like Quinnipiac or The Hill or ABC News are promoting. Rather, it's closer to 50-ish, if that. And it seems like a lot of people are starting to catch on.
Well, I mean, only 35% of the country thinks the economy's headed in the right direction. So that's about, I would peg his approval rating closer to 40. Plus or minus 5%. Give him 5 points. Yeah,
That could be true, actually, because uh, there was another poll. Let me see. Who ran this? The Convention of States Action in partnership with the Trafalgar Group. They
okay.
polled 1,000 likely voters, and 56% said they don't believe President Biden is fully exercising, his duties, and 36% believe that he's directing all policies. So there
Wow.
might be something to what you're saying there.
That's impressively bad. And
Yeah, can I get some of these Orange Man bad polls where he was at 52% and they were saying, "Oh, he's bottoming out. Here we go. Here comes the decline of Trump."
yeah, I miss a couple mean tweets and gas being a buck and change.
Oh man, Donnie, if I may though, please spare us from having to run in 2024. Can you just give us Ron DeSantis?
Yes,
Ron DeSantis would be awesome. Look at how he's handling Florida.
yeah. No, I mean, Biden might claim that climate change was the reason it fell, but there's a lot of evidence to the contrary, which I'm not 100% sure why they're letting Biden take that position.
Whoever's writing the speeches, you're fired.
Yeah, it'd probably be for the best. Well, a little bit of global news. We got to cover it because in my opinion, worth covering no matter what. The Haitian president was assassinated. Apparently, it's leaning towards a PMC kind of group that did it, based on the current evidence.
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know this is actually huge news, but I don't really know a lot about Haitian politics. Some of the things that I've read, sort of tangentially to this, were that the president in particular was not liked, and that many of the people thought he was a dictator. I'm not sure how true that is, but that was some of the sentiment I got reading about sort of him and his reign.
Yeah, so it doesn't quite surprise you that he was offed.
My gosh, you have to be so crass about it.
Well, I mean, sometimes you just gotta be. But currently, the embassy is closed, and I mean, yeah, Haiti has struggled for a long time as a country. Let's be honest here.
Well, Jen Potato did absolutely no favors for us. Um,
Shocking.
she mentioned that the president would be briefed. Is today Wednesday, actually? Yeah. No, it's Thursday. So he would have been
Yeah.
briefed yesterday, I believe. And
Okay.
she also, in a pre-recorded segment to CNN of all things, she says, quote, "The message to the people of Haiti is this is a tragic tragedy. It's a horrific crime, a tragic tragedy." Like, are you serious? It's a
Oh
horrific
Lord.
crime, and we're so sorry for the loss they are all suffering and going through, as many of them are waking up this morning and hearing this news. And I'm with her on that. I definitely feel very, 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 very sorry for those people. Even if he was loved, hated, it doesn't matter. It's still one of their countrymen, and that always stings.
Yeah. More interestingly, I'm curious what sort of U.S. politics will have influence on this. Remember, God, 11-ish years ago, I think it was the hurricane that hit Haiti, and then they're like all the celebrities went and adopted all the children out of Haiti, and it was a huge issue because like Haiti had no kids left.
Oh, was that a hurricane or was that an earthquake?
Might have been either. Okay, it was an earthquake. All the celebrities come in and adopt all the kids, and everyone's like, this could be a problem.
Yeah, like if I may again go tangential, look at the issues that China's facing as their aging population only grows. It's only getting bigger, and they're not getting any younger. It's starting to worry even their government. So it is a real problem
So
stealing
you mean,
away, well, not stealing, but basically stealing away youth from other countries.
yeah. So you're telling me that when two people are only allowed to have one kid, the population doesn't increase?
Not too terribly.
Huh. Who would have thought?
I will say though, to President Xi's credit, I believe I read somewhere that he only has just one child. So if this is true, then at least he follows his own policies, and I can't knock him for that.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other communistic countries, Canada,
Oh my gosh.
our neighbors to the north,
Oh my gosh.
they've got a couple of things going on here. So
We got some problems.
recently, it came out that there were some Catholic-run schools that had either abused or killed indigenous children, which is true across the globe. This came up in Ireland a year or two ago, actually. They found a school with a mass grave in the back with a couple hundred bodies or something like that. I'll see if I can find it for the show notes. But like this isn't a new thing that people are suddenly learning about. This has been a thing for a while. And so in response, Canadians are burning down churches after their government's already taken a heavy anti-church stance with some of the lawsuits and arrests going through recently.
Oh yes, a very fair and proportional response.
Yes, all the indigenous people have come out and said, please stop burning churches. That's not what we want. And all of Canada's like, let's just keep burning churches. And then Trudeau came out and was passive aggressive and did not denounce the violence. If that sounds like any other leaders in the North America region that we may or may not have currently.
Joe Biden. Excuse me.
Hmm.
Excuse me, guys. Terrible cough going out around here.
A couple other things going out there is we might have to pay Canada 15 billion with a B in damages because of the pipeline, the Keystone pipeline being canceled. So on top of 100,000 ish people losing their jobs, when you consider all the tangential jobs, and on top of the economic hit of our gas prices going up due to it, we now have to pay Canada.
Wow. So
Ugh.
let me just explain very briefly here. The poor people just got triple whammied by pretty much one decision.
Oh yeah,
Oh my goodness.
and then something else is, which is why I'm comparing them to China, is that they have a new law coming in called C10. I think it is labeled as, which is an amendment to what their communication laws is, which requires platforms like YouTube and TikTok and such to promote Canadian content over anything else, which is big for a couple of reasons. One, it's the first time a government is trying to control the algorithms. So
Hmm.
essentially, if this passes, YouTube in Canada will have to adjust their algorithm to show more Canadian creators, which is
Well,
huge.
real quick, I have a question for you about that.
Sure.
Uh, if Canada passes this, do you think that something like this could be done in America?
I don't think so. I think there's enough lobbying from big tech, which honestly I'm not against on this one, because a lot of the content I watch is not from the US, quite honestly, and I'm okay with that.
Watch out, we got ourselves one of them radicals.
So, yeah, I know, right? But this is also the biggest attack on the freedom of the internet in the Western world. The only one that comes close is China's Great Firewall. And essentially, Canada's setting up the same thing, just a little bit more slowly. This is
So,
initially
ooh,
saying that they have the right to nitpick what's on your feed, which is them controlling the internet in a broad sense.
yikes. That's scary. That's a big yikes from me. Canada is, oh my gosh, they are in chaos right now.
Yeah, it's not a
Shout out
good time
to
to
the
be north.
Canadian homies.
Like, I'd invite y'all to come down here, but quite honestly, it's not a lot better. It's a little bit better, but not a lot. So,
All
Kent,
right.
do you want to hit up your side topic?
I guess I could do that. Yeah. On the 4th of July, I'm sure some of you will notice. Representative from Missouri, Corey Bush, actually tweeted. I have that pulled up right here. When they say that the 4th of July is about American freedom, remember this: the freedom they're referring to is for white people. This land is stolen, and black people still aren't free. Where do I begin? All right, let me start by saying this simply. If you aren't free, you would not be able to make this tweet. This is just a simple fact. If you go back in time to actual Jim Crow times, you will see black people were actually oppressed and were not allowed to give their opinions. You know, they would be beaten mercilessly. They would be tortured. They would be ruined beyond your wildest dreams. Okay, that's what actually happened in the 1800s. Right? It's not happening here in the 2000s. All right, so we need to get that straight. Second off, I'd like to believe that this isn't true, but this is my own conclusion. Uh, I think what she's insinuating here is that the American land is stolen from black people, which, again, I don't think that's true either. I don't, I don't recall skyscrapers being made of cotton. I recall very vividly our economy improved drastically after we abolished slavery. And if you go look at most of the nations that still participate in slave trading, you will see that their economies are far, far weaker to even pre industrial nations. It's ridiculous how backwards they are comparatively. So I find it completely and utterly ridiculous that she can sit here and say that black people aren't free in arguably the freest country in the world, arguably the greatest country to exist throughout history.
Yeah, it must
But
be pretty nice.
what I will say is, I do have to give you some credit here, Representative Bush. You did acu- adequately call out the drug war. He said in another tweet on July 2nd that Sha'Carri needs to be able to run. Sha'Carri Richardson, the Olympic runner who has been, was it disqualified and banned? And then
Disqualified. She was given a 1 month suspension and she stepped down.
she also mentions that we need to legalize cannabis, which you will find our opinions on in the drug war short, actually. We may link that. I don't know. Maybe not.
We can put it in
And
there
she says
somewhere.
and she says we also need to decriminalize all drugs. I agree with all of that. We need to end the drug war. I'm glad that now the Democrats who implemented this just a few short decades ago, and believe me, George Bush did not help the conservative cause in that either. He kept it going. But I'm glad to see that we are all now finally on the same side, and we see that this doesn't work. This is ridiculous, and we need to actually do something constructive about it.
Yeah, no, I can agree to that.
Whew. All right.
How's your soapbox, Ken?
It's pretty worn down now. I was stomping on it a little bit.
Yeah, I could tell.
Uh, you can pull yours up now if you'd like. I'm sure you
Uh,
have something interesting for us.
I'm put my foot through the soapbox with this one. This one
I'll let her
is
rip.
this is one that really hits home to me. This is like a topic that I'm very passionate about. Human trafficking, actually. This is something that hit my feet a little bit this week, as yesterday actually, XTube, and for every guy and about half the women that ever listened to anything will know about this, shut down, thankfully for the rest of us, due to a lot of scrutiny in regards to if they're actually trafficking women and showing actual rape videos on their website, which, while someone might be into that, they should be thrown in a wood chipper. Mind you that. This is on this is coming out, and so now XTube shut down. Pornhub a while back had to switch only to verified videos being uploaded to avoid this type of scrutiny. And recently, there was a lawsuit against Facebook because while 30% of victims were recruited for sex trafficking and such through social media, over half of them came through Facebook profiles like Snapchat, WeChat, and Instagram and such. Facebook, yeah, that was a bad lawsuit for Facebook because everyone sued them because a lot of sex trafficking was going through their platform. This has also been a hot take with Twitter recently, was also found to be trafficking people. And this is something we definitely need to hold everybody accountable for, whether or not it's a porn site or a social media site.
Can definitely get behind that sentiment. I do not like to see people taking advantage of kids. That's just sick.
Yeah. It's sick is an understatement, quite honestly.
Well, we gotta keep this video monetized.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not getting monetized.
No, that's never happening. But yeah, that's about all I got.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this week for the weekly win. This has been wonderful to sit down and talk to you about the news, Tim.
Yeah, always a pleasure to hang out with you.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to have you, the viewers, here with us as well, listening and telling us why we're wrong. Let us know in the comments. And as
Before
always, we'll see you next week.
before we close out, one last announcement. We're on Spotify now, so you can feel free to look us up on Spotify. The link will
Oh
be in
yeah,
the
I forgot.
description.
Yeah, go check us out on Spotify. We're working on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, whatever it
Apple
is. We'll
Podcasts.
see. We'll see what happens.
All right. God bless y'all and have a great day.